Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another Boruto 2 Blue Vortex discussion. Today, I want to talk to you guys about one of the bigger conflicts that I've seen in Boruto 2 Blue Vortex, which is the contrast we've seen between Naruto's Hokage and Shikamaru as Hokage, which is why in today's newest Naruto Explain video, I want to take a deeper look. Now that we have more context into the contrast between Naruto Uzumaki, the 7th Hokage, and Shikamaru Nara, the 8th Hokage. Also, as a quick reminder, by the time you guys are seeing this, the leaks for the upcoming chapter that drops on the 20th may or may not be out, depending on when we get the full chapter leaks. The review will be out either on the 20th or as late as the 22nd, depending on when the leaks drop, so that the editor can maintain the quality that you're used to from the 2 Blue Vortex reviews. So I thank you again in advance for your patience and support. And also, the videos for the soft reboot of the channel are up, that the editors worked behind the scenes all last year for the first 10 to 14 days each week of each month moving forward. Straight lore videos, explain videos, and fun topics like how many years Madara go to jail, Boruto characters who can kill Madara. So check that out if you haven't already. Now, this topic here, why I'm so excited to talk to you about it, is that it really taps into one of the more profound generational contrasts in the Naruto and Boruto series. What we're witnessing in the shift from Naruto to Shikamaru as Hokage is more than just a change in personality, which is what a lot of people just boil it down to. It is a reflection of the shifting eras themselves, as well as leadership philosophies and an even deeper spiritual and philosophical concept that is rooted in Japanese Buddhism and Shintoism. So we're going to dig very deeply into this. We're going to start first with the contrasting philosophies of Hokage leadership. Naruto Uzumaki, you could just boil down his role as 7th Hokage as being the Hokage of compassion and overwhelming strength. His core traits as Hokage were compassion-driven leadership, forgiveness, and redemption as foundational values, overwhelming personal battle strength that could protect the village all by himself, and a deep idealism that is rooted in his personal trauma from the past, but most importantly, his empathy. And Naruto has a strong belief in the will of fire as being an emotional inheritance when you look at his character. Naruto governed not through strategy or caution, but through sheer force of will and emotional charisma. He was the type of Hokage who would extend his hand to a former enemy, as we saw when he was a teenager dealing with Obito and Nagato. And even as Hokage, Naruto tried to give Delta a chance to be talked down off the ledge before he gave her those hands. Naruto believes in the power of change. He embodied the Bodhisattva ideal of Japanese Buddhism, Mahayana in particular, a being who delays their own enlightenment to help others attain it. Like a Bodhisattva, Naruto assumed the role of a spiritual and physical protector of Konoha, taking the karmic weight of the conflict all upon himself. In Shinto terms, Naruto is akin to a kami of harmony and agriculture, bringing prosperity through emotional abundance. His Hokage era was about rebuilding and nurturing peace, just as an agricultural kami brings life from a barren land. The strengths of Naruto's Hokage go even deeper when you look at how he continued to keep former enemies and nations unified. He is loved by others, evident by the fact that everyone's hunting down Boruto for his death. He is a emotional trust in terms of he is a trust bank of emotional support for people. It is implicit in how Naruto governs. He built that golden age of peace even before he became Hokage, and as Hokage, he's continued to oversee the technological progress that was being made under Kakashi. He could personally face any threat head on, as we see with all these Otsutsuki that have popped up. However, his weaknesses, they are plenty. He has blind spots due to his trusting nature. Example, Amado. He is averse to making hard decisions that might harm innocents. He has an over-reliance on his own personal power. And as we see, the world spiraling out of control now that Naruto's gone and he does not have Kurama. Now, on the other side, though, you have Shikamaru Nara, the 8th Hokage of cold calculation and strategic flexibility. His core traits are pragmatism over idealism. He is a calculated emotional detachment walking in human body. He is adaptive. He has fluid strategies rather than brute force. He is a realist who prepares for the worst case scenarios. He is someone who uses suspicion as a tool of survival. And it makes sense. He's not the strongest person out there, but his mind is the strongest weapon that he has. Shikamaru has no delusions about the world. While Naruto could afford to see the best in people because of his immense power, Shikamaru is a man without overwhelming power. He governs through intellect, manipulation, and adaptability. He embodies a Zen Buddhist mind state. He observes the world as it is, not as he wishes it to be. Where Naruto saw redemption, Shikamaru sees risk. In Shinto mythological terms, Shikamaru reflects a kami, a strategy of war, like Take Mikikachizuki, the god of conquest and swordsmanship. His rule represents perseverance and preservation through discipline rather than personal spiritual radiance. Shikamaru also is the embodiment of strategic acumen. For example, you had Code's claw marks. He immediately analyzed Code's plan and he devised a containment protocol even before the attack began. He had Kawaki out there shrinking down all those claw marks, and as we see, he had a swift response with the sensors for counter maneuvers that shows his predictive mind. They were getting citizens out of there as soon as those claw grimes showed up. Another example of this being with omnipotence in Boruto. While most would have panicked or turned on Boruto, Shikamaru accepted this new truth. He concealed Boruto's existence and he began supporting him covertly. He did not do what somebody like Ino did, where Ino said, I can't take this risk because saying without saying it's because of her child, not wanting to dishonor her clan. Did a whole video breaking down why you should not blame Ino. Shikamaru, on the other hand, is willing to roll the dice because everything makes sense in his mind. Then with Amato, unlike Naruto, who accepted Amato at face value, Shikamaru keeps him under constant surveillance, knowing just how much of a wild card he is. This lends itself to immense strengths for Shikamaru. He maintains order even in chaos. He adjusts to new realities with ease, omnipotence being a prime example. Once he figured out what it was, he talked to Boruto and he began making strategies based around that. He does not allow personal emotion to cloud his strategic logic. Again, the Ino example is there. He took emotion out of it and said like, yo, this is Naruto's kid. We got to protect him. He's more suited to leading during times of uncertain and foreign threats like we have currently. However, his weakness is that he lacks that magnetic hope that Naruto inspired. You guys have heard me say it numerous times. When you reread the 4th Great Ninja War, Naruto served as a figurative light, a golden light shining through the darkness when he used that KCM cloak. He was literally used as a beacon to rally the Shinobi Alliance after Obito got the 9 Biju extracted from him. He was on top of, I believe it was the God Tree. He had that Rasen Shuriken. Everyone started running towards it. Shikamaru does not have that type of effect on people. Shikamaru is not trusted by the public to that same degree for those reasons. He may also become isolated and overly cynical, as we've seen. He has cold decisions that will breed internal dissent, and we saw that with Sarada. Then we have to go all the way back to their academy days to fully appreciate what we have with both of these guys being Hokage. We've all seen the memes. Konoha, congratulations, these are your Hokage. But here's the thing. The then versus now basically is a great example of how lazy boys can eventually turn into leaders under the right circumstances. Naruto back then, he was brash, he was lonely, he couldn't tell you what 2 + 2 was, and he was dipping crayons into paint before eating them. Yet Naruto is also deeply hopeful and he was determined. Shikamaru back then, he was apathy incarnate. He had a genius IQ, but he had zero motivation. He only cared about not being bothered. Hence, we heard him say so many times, what a drag. Their contrast as children, it also highlights the dual path of enlightenment in both Buddhist and Shinto philosophies. Naruto embodies the heart-based path, basically compassion. Shikamaru embodies the mind-based path, which is wisdom. Both of these are essential in Buddhist doctrine in order to attain an awakening. That metaphor plays itself out in the leadership transition from Naruto's heart to Shikamaru's mind. This is why, in hindsight, Shikamaru was the only person who could be 8th Hokage. And I hope that last line really makes you appreciate why he has to be Hokage. The era shift is the next thing you have to look at. Shikamaru's rule right now, it fits the current world. The world of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex is no longer one where brute strength is the dominant currency. Instead, it is basically being defined right now by espionage and memory manipulation due to omnipotence, unknown alien threats, basically Jura and Code with everything that's happening there, foreign political instability. The other Kage are growing impatient, having to rely on basically a private military corporation, and Kashin, Koji, and Boruto, they're using 10 directions to come up with strategies. This world right now, it doesn't need a warrior king. It needs a statesman strategist, because long before the first punch ever gets thrown, just like how in the real world, long before the first bullets and bombs ever get shot off or detonated in battlefields, there are moves made behind the scenes that set up a war. And those moves made behind the scene determine winners and losers before any violence starts. Shikamaru, he's in a natural situation to progress this. Where Naruto, his world, it was still very much narratively shonen. Shikamaru right now is basically in a seinen adjacent world, requiring nuance and mistrust, and most importantly, adaptation. Then it gets even deeper when you look into the Buddhist and Shinto themes in their leadership. Naruto's theme is the Bodhisattva. He protects all through personal sacrifice. Shikamaru, on the other hand, he as a Bodhisattva basically delegates via protective systems. The theme of karma is Naruto believing in good begets be good, basically redeeming villains and redeeming former enemies. Shikamaru believes that actions have consequences, hence he keeps tabs on Amato. Naruto embodies the enlightenment path via compassion and intuition, whereas Shikamaru embodies that through wisdom and analysis. The Shinto archetype is basically Naruto is representing a life bringer kami. To use another Shinto example, Naruto's basically behaving like Amaterasu, whereas Shikamaru is the war god strategist that we mentioned earlier. Then when you look at the leadership Dharma, Naruto believes in the trust of the heart, whereas Shikamaru believes in the trust of the mind. What I'm getting at here is that this is basically a tale of two necessary Kage, two necessary kings, if you will. Naruto and Shikamaru, they are not rivals by any word of the definition. They are complementary avatars of leadership. That is why both of them working together when Naruto's Hokage were so damn effective. Naruto ruled the world that he helped create, a world where hope and unity and second chances, all that stuff mattered most. Shikamaru now rules a world where that hope, it is threatened by unseen forces, altered memories, and non-human logic. Nothing about omnipotence is logical. His emotional restraint, his deep caution, his flexible thinking, they are no longer a luxury. They are a necessity to be able to see someone guide Boruto to a ending solution. That is why Kashin Koji was the right person for Boruto as well. In the end, their eras and their decisions, they mirror the Buddhist idea of skillful means. Naruto's means was empathy. Shikamaru's means was strategy. Both were vehicles moving towards the same goal, to preserve peace no matter what the world throws at them. Taking it a step further, let's look at a character by character comparison of their leadership styles. So look at how they handle this with the relationships they have. With Amato, Naruto's approach was basically Naruto gave Amato the benefit of the doubt. He saw a man who lost his daughter, and as someone who had lost a friend, a cousin-in-law in Neji to war, he had lost his parents growing up, he almost lost his son Boruto. Naruto was able to empathize. He trusted Amato's repentance, and he allowed him to become part of Konoha's scientific team despite his shady past. Naruto, someone that dealt with Amato in a way that was rooted in compassion. Naruto believes people can change. He dealt with Amato in a belief of faith and redemption. He likely saw echoes of people like Gaara and Obito and Sasuke, even Sasuke, and someone like Amato. And that's something that might be a potential blind spot. Too much trust and not enough oversight. Whereas with Shikamaru never bought Amato's story at face value. If Amato's breathing, Shikamaru is basically having an investigation done. He openly admits that Amato can't be fully trusted. He even told him to his face, I think that you planned all this stuff from the start. Even when using his technology, Shikamaru ensures that Amato is under full surveillance, understanding that emotional trauma does not justify manipulation. Shikamaru, his approach is basically rooted in logic. Amato's actions, they benefit himself first. He's made that clear numerous times. Shikamaru is basically looking at it from strategic containment. Use him, but do not trust him. It is a cold use of utility. Amato is merely a piece on the board. He is not an ally. As a result, Naruto and Shikamaru and how they handled Amato, Naruto is the savior. Shikamaru is the handler. Then when you look at Kawaki, Naruto's approach, Naruto took him in as family. He treated him like a son. He went out of his way to understand his trauma and become his emotional anchor. Naruto saw a lost soul and he tried to fill the role of a father. He was pure empathy. Naruto deeply identified with Kawaki's isolation. Naruto used to be a Jinchuriki, even threw it in Shikamaru's face. He was protective as a fault. He even was willing to sacrifice himself for Kawaki. His blind spot was basically in that he did not anticipate how far Kawaki's obsession and protectiveness would go. It led to him sealing away Naruto and Hinata. Shikamaru's approach, on the other hand, Shikamaru was deeply wary of Kawaki, especially in how he tried to kill Boruto and unilaterally sealed Naruto. Even before omnipotence, Shikamaru was questioning Kawaki's true loyalty and his stability. He was asking what happened to Naruto and Hinata. He wanted smoke right there. Right now, he is actively tracking him as a threat under the guise of political tolerance. He is basically treating Kawaki like, hey, I know you're not really Naruto's son, but I'm going to pretend like I don't know this. And he's keeping tabs on the guy. It is a risk calculation. Kawaki is a potential destabilizer. He has seen it firsthand. He's maintained a cold diplomacy, but he already has contingency plans in place that are in motion right now. He's also playing the long game, waiting for Boruto to be in position to take Kawaki down. As a result of this, Naruto is viewed like the father and Shikamaru, he's viewed like the watchdog. Then, when you look at Boruto, the best example of this, Naruto's approach was basically Boruto's his biological son, so there are blinders there, but he's also the vessel of Momoshiki. Naruto struggled with being both Hokage and father, trying to find a balance of love with duty. He wanted Boruto to choose his own ninja way, just like he did. The heart versus the responsibility. Naruto's conflict in part 1 was always him being torn between family and public safety, his duty as Hokage. It was a trust in willpower. He believed that Boruto would be able to resist Momoshiki. He did not want to accept the fact that his son was being taken over by an alien that he killed. He was a hopeful parent. However, Shikamaru's approach, Shikamaru had every reason to want to hunt down Boruto post-omnipotence, but instead he believed Boruto's word. He deduced the logical inconsistencies and he chose to protect him secretly, aiding in his escape and feeding him intel. Shikamaru has shown mental flexibility. He's adjusted to a absurd new reality very quickly. He has political tact. He was able to protect Boruto without blowing his cover. He was a shadow ally. He knows that Boruto may be Konoha's last card in all this Otsutsuki fuckery that's going on. As a result, Naruto, you characterize his relationship with Boruto as being an unwavering father, whereas Shikamaru, he is the silent supporter. With the other Kage, it gets even deeper here. So in Naruto's era as Hokage, he was the uncontested pillar of peace. No Kage dared question him and challenge him due to his strength and status as a war hero. The closest we got is when, say, Gaara was asking him, can you really kill your son? You know, Momoshiki's gonna take over and fam, you ain't winning that fight. For the most part, those meetings, they were warm, they were nostalgic, they were trusting. But Naruto's power, it masked a growing sense of being complacent. Other nations, as we see now, they were unprepared for a world without Naruto. In Shikamaru's era right now, the Kage, they're restless, and Shikamaru's been told as much by the elders. He uses diplomacy and counterintelligence, and as we see with someone like Kankuro, Shikamaru is still expected to come up with ways to help, but there is a growing breakdown. Again, Gaara was out there looking for Boruto himself. He was not working with Konoha. Instead of power, Shikamaru is ruling through preparation and through deterrence. Naruto's relationship with the Kage was basically a symbol of unity, whereas Shikamaru's relationship is a strategic balance keeper, basically. Then it gets even crazier when you look at the historical and mythological parallels that you have. You can map out Naruto and Shikamaru to real Japanese rulers and spiritual figures. So for Naruto, he's basically the mythical Emperor Jimmu and the Sage King archetype. Like Emperor Jimmu, the legendary first ruler of Japan, Naruto's story, it is mythic in scale. Jimmu was said to be a descendant of Amaterasu, the sun goddess, just as Naruto seems to bring light to the world. Naruto reflects the idea of enlightened monarch, which is found in Buddhist legend, a ruler whose compassion and inner peace brings peace to the world and peace to the realm. In Confucian and Shinto ideologies, such rulers were not beloved for strategy, but rather for their virtue and their harmony with the divine will. And I think most of us would agree that's definitely somebody like Naruto. Then when you look at Shikamaru, he is, for all intents and purposes, a modern version of Sanosuke no Tamuramura, or a modern version of Toyotomi Hideyoshi. So Shikamaru is closer to Hideyoshi in the sense that he is a cunning, basically low level, who's been turned into a strategist who unified Japan through alliances and not through brute force. He's also reminiscent of Sanosuke Tamuramura, a general known for swift adaptation to military threats to the north, which is basically parallel to how he's handled code and how he's attempting to handle Jura right now. While in real life it's been several months since he's been made aware of Jura, it's important to remember that in universe it's only been a few days at best. Spiritually, Shikamaru, he mirrors the mountain monks or the Zen tacticians. He is pragmatic, sometimes cold, but deeply focused on clarity and balance. In conclusion, I will close off and I'll say this because this one's going to get long in the tooth here, but I do feel like this was a necessary video in order to fully appreciate what we have here. Essentially, Shikamaru and Naruto are both Hokage, but they are not the same. They are two sides of the same coin because they represent the opposite but necessary forces that are constant in the changing world. And what's so fascinating about this is that what they represent is also something you can tie directly to what their primary chakras are. So Shikamaru is somebody who is closely associated with Yin chakra, whereas Naruto is closely associated with Yang chakra. Yang chakra being physical and Yin chakra being mental. So Naruto in this case, when you look at what Yin and Yang mean in Japanese, in terms of what they symbolize, Naruto is light, he is hope, he is heart, he is idealism, he is explosive power. Shikamaru, he is yin, he is shadow, shadow possession, caution, calculation, reason, and adaptable wisdom. In Buddhist terms, they are the two truths. Naruto being the ultimate truth, the heart in the moral ideal, whereas Shikamaru is the conventional truth, which is the mastery of strategy to uphold peace. And in Shinto, Naruto is the life-giving Amaterasu, whereas Shikamaru is the storm-bringing Susanoo, who tears down illusions to reveal hard truths. That's why I firmly believe they are best suited to working together. They're great on their own, but when they are working together, they are an unstoppable duo as a 1A and a 1B. Together, they make the complete evolution of leadership in a shinobi world that's now entering into a darker, more existential phase. which makes Boruto's conversation with Kawaki, where the statement "the age of shinobi is over" getting stated, makes that whole thing look a lot differently now, hopefully. Obviously, if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing and clicking over here on the left to check out more videos from Naruto Explained, or click over here on the right to check out videos from my Anime Explained channel, or click up here up top to check out videos from my Everything One Piece Explained channel.